In this video, we're discussing a complete India travel guide, including the basics before coming to India, the climate, travel itinerary, money obviously, what to wear in India, and of course the hygiene. We're walking through a wallpaper. She's going in for a bed. Getting closer.
This is Farooq, Regional Director, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. India is one destination where we have infinite number of unexplored destinations.
By the end of this video, you'll have all the essential information to make your first trip to India unforgettable, so make sure to watch all the way until the end and not miss anything. Hi, my name is Ivana and I've been living in India now for 5.5 years, but I've been traveling in India since 2015. I've been to North India, I've been to South India, I've been all over. I am crazy about India and I just want to make sure that you have the best time when you come here. Without further ado, let's start with the basics. The basics are the things that you have to arrange prior to coming to India. And the first thing that you need to take care of are your vaccinations. For me personally, it was very common sense to go to my local medical center and inquire about the vaccinations that I would need prior to going to India. And I got all of them. What's your name? Oh my God, look at this, we're besties. The reason why I'm saying this is so important because I realized that when my brother came here, when my father came here, when my friends came here, it is not that common sense for most people. So I do want to emphasize that, especially because some vaccinations really need 6 months to take full effect. I think hepatitis, you have to get it 6 months in advance and then you have to get 3 types of shots. So do keep that in mind. Prior to coming to India, 6 months in advance, definitely go to your local medical center and inquire about what kind of vaccinations you need prior to coming to India, because I'll be talking about the hygiene a little bit later. A lot of people, I think, get unnecessarily sick because not taking these simple precautions. I'm not saying anything is going to happen to you. To be honest, I rarely felt sick while traveling in India.
I have a fever and I feel so bad. I have a cold, like my nose is running all the time, my throat is hurting.
But I do think it is important to keep in mind that things can always go wrong. Even in your home country, things can always go wrong. And that's why next to the vaccinations, you really need to take care of your travel insurance. Medical care in India is really affordable, yet not that affordable. We ended up spending around 550 euros in total for a 24-hour hospitalization of my dad, but that was including all the blood tests and MRI scan and the most luxurious room. Now, our expenses luckily were very manageable, but if you end up needing surgery or spending a longer time in the hospital, this could seriously cost you. When my dad was visiting India in 2018, we only realized that he didn't have travel insurance when he ended up in the hospital. And luckily, the Indian medical facilities are extremely affordable. You get crazy quality for money because most of the Indian doctors, they go abroad to countries like the UK, US, Canada, Australia to study, and then they come back to India. So honestly, the medical healthcare in India is fantastic and the prices are very affordable. However, I think it is just added stress on top of your trip.
Okay, so let's say 10 years ago he had a blood clot in his brain.
It was
10 years ago. Fine.
If something goes wrong, you really want to be taken care of, so make sure you have travel insurance. You have no idea how much I scolded my dad for this. The final basic that you have to take care of course, is a valid visa. Again, you would think that it is common sense. However, again, this is speaking from experience. A friend of mine really ran into trouble because she applied for an ETourist visa and she thought that the confirmation that she got for the ETourist visa was the actual visa. So only when she got to her connecting flight, she realized that that is not the visa because they wouldn't let her board the connecting flight to India. And she had to apply for the e-visa, e-tourist visa there. Luckily, she got it within 24 hours, so she could take the next flight the next day. But obviously, it was a lot of stress and a lot of unnecessary hassle, which was not needed. In order to prevent this, just go to your local visa office website and see the exact requirements for a tourist visa. Obviously, if you're just traveling here, you will only need a tourist visa. Mind you, you're not allowed to work on a tourist visa. That is illegal, so don't do that. Obviously, there are also different types of visas for other purposes. Make sure that you inquire with your local visa office which one you would need, and obviously if you're just a tourist and you're coming here to travel, it would just be a tourist visa. Now that we got the basics sorted, let's talk logistics. What is the climate like and when should you travel in India? The general assumption about India is that it's only one climate: hot, hot, and more hot. If you look at the size of India, this doesn't make sense at all. There are many different climates here as the country is huge. Yes, Mumbai and Kochi will be hot and humid, but for instance, Delhi can get quite cold in winter, sometimes even only 5 degrees Celsius. Therefore, the general recommendation to travel in India in December and January doesn't make any sense in my opinion. Also, because this is the general international recommendation, India will have the most foreigner tourists during these 2 months. The prices rise significantly and it's a lot more crowded at the standard tourist places. Which brings me to my next point: how to create your perfect India travel itinerary. And it can be really hard because India is such a massive country. There's so many things to see here. I live here and I still have so many places on my bucket list. So how do you decide for your first trip which places you want to visit? Because most people end up doing the Golden Circle, which is Delhi, Agra for the Taj Mahal, of course, and then going to Jaipur, the Pink City, which I think is amazing, but I am not so sure if it is really the best places to see for first timers, because Delhi is extremely overwhelming. Taj Mahal is very touristy, and Jaipur, even though it's very pretty, I feel it's also quite touristy. There are easier ways to ease yourself into India. It's so cold. It's so cold. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. Biggest recommendation that I give here is, first of all, look up many places that you would like to visit in India. Obviously, I'm going to give you some suggestions in a moment, but I also have many videos down in the description below on travel guides on different places. You do have to pick the places first where you would like to visit and then check out the climate there, because some places like Ladakh are not accessible most time of the year. Ladakh is only accessible from April until end of September, I would say. So if you would like to visit that during the regular tourist season in India in December or January, Ladakh wouldn't be accessible. So pick out the places first, then check out the climate. A monsoon, like full-on monsoon like in Goa, I don't think that's also really fun. However, Bangalore in monsoon is really nice, and Kerala in monsoon was also really, really nice. Welcome to Munnar. In India, rain and gloomy weather is usually a relief from the heat, and hence it is really romanticized for a good reason, because this kind of beautiful gloomy weather with a hot cup of chai and some snacks, oh my gosh, it just started raining. And guess what? Hot chai is on the way, snacks are on the way. An important note when making your travel itinerary is to not make the 2 biggest mistakes that most foreigner tourists make when coming to India. One, I mentioned already, starting your trip in North India. I don't think that's smart. And then the second one is jamming too many things in too little time. India is a massive country and you will just simply get exhausted from visiting one place because there are already so many new impressions coming at you. But I talk more about this in my video series where I explain all of these biggest mistakes that most foreigner tourists make, so make sure to check them out, linked in the description below. Also, please don't get too hung up about the Taj Mahal either. It's absolutely beautiful, but India has a million more beautiful sights to offer than just the Taj Mahal. If I can recommend you my favorite places in India, these would definitely include Kochi. It's so pretty. Varkala, Pondicherry, Rishikesh, Ladakh, any popular place in Rajasthan like Jaipur, Jodhpur, Udaipur or Jaisalmer. And And of course, Mumbai, Delhi, and Bangalore once you've eased yourself into India. Actually, Bangalore is a good place to ease yourself into India as well. I've linked all the individual videos I've made about these places down below as well for more in-depth information about each place. Now, you may also be wondering what kind of clothes to pack for India, but I'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video. First, I want to address how to ease yourself into India. Mumbai is literally my favorite city in the world, but just like Delhi, I definitely feel it is just too overwhelming for first-time tourists coming to India. Hence why I wouldn't necessarily recommend my friends and family to start their trip there. You can go there later on in your trip, but plan for a soft landing first and turn up the adventure later. I always recommend foreigner tourists to start their trip in India, in South India, so anywhere in Karnataka, like for instance Bangalore, or in Kerala, in Kochi. That is the place where I landed in India for the first time, and it was the best decision ever. The south of India just has a little bit more slower pace and a little bit less overwhelmed that you would find in North India. So I find that for foreigner tourists, it's just an easier way to get accustomed to all the things that are foreign to you in Indian culture on the first impressions, and then, turn up the adventure later. Something else that's important for making your India travel itinerary is the kind of transportation you're going to take. On a national level, you have the option to travel by flight, train, or bus. Flights are extremely underrated by foreigners in my opinion, as they're super fast and sometimes even cheaper than taking a train. If you have a limited amount of time, please consider traveling by domestic flights, as most places in India are incredibly well connected and flights are really affordable. However, if you have the time, I definitely understand the preference of most foreigner tourists for experiencing an Indian train ride at least once. It is absolutely a mesmerizing journey that you will go on, and the train network is very well connected. You can choose at which comfort level you'd like to travel. I'm going to talk more about the classes which I take in a little bit, and also how to book those flights. But of course, hygiene is also important. I have saved that topic until a little bit further on in the video, but first let me tell you about the biggest downside of taking an Indian train journey and how I completely messed that up when my dad came to India. When my dad came to India for the first time, his only wish out of the whole itinerary that I made for him was to do an overnight train journey with Indian Railways. And that is also, again, something that I recommend to any foreigner tourist coming to India for the first time. Indian train journeys, there is a certain magic about them. They're also very soothing, I feel, because you get a lot more of the views than just taking a plane journey. Now, what you do have to keep in mind if you are going on a train journey is that you have to book the tickets 3 months in advance. And 3 months in advance is when the ticket sales open, and the closer you get to your travel date, the harder it is going to be to get tickets.
This is the absolute most ridiculous story ever. So when I booked the train tickets, we had wait lists 30 and 31. Everybody told us you're gonna get the tickets by November 7th when we were traveling. Literally like 2 hours ago I checked and we were waitlist 1 and 2. So we came to the train station expecting like, yeah, we're gonna get on a train. And then the train conductor was like, no. But yesterday, Kinjo also said her whole family basically is traveling on the same train. And she was like, oh, if you don't get it, we have extra tickets you can get on our bus and everything. So we arrived here, obviously gonna meet Kinjo before we leave. And then the conductor was like, oh, I'm sorry, like you don't get the tickets. And she's like, yeah, come with us.
I personally have traveled on all classes, and I would recommend the sleeper train during the day if you only have a train journey of about a few hours. But I would not recommend that for a whole overnight journey because I think it's just too intense.
This is actually quite some space. You know, you always see those mad crowded Indian trains, and to be fair, I always book 3AC if I have a night train or something, but this is the first time in sleeper class, and I don't know, maybe I'm drawing conclusions too early. This is ridiculous. Even an Indian sleeper class compartment has a freaking power outlet. Like, what? crazy. Look at this. This was more what I was expecting. Everywhere. And then it settled down again. But we still have like 7 or 8 stations. Something like that. Alright.
Sorry.
No, no. No problem, no problem. It's okay.
If I have an overnight train journey, I always opt for a minimum 3 AC. 2 AC is my preference because I do like having some people around me. I also have done a first class train journey in India, which was such an experience. So if you see the train journey as an experience of your travels, I think it is definitely worth the time investment because it will be the absolute journey of a lifetime. This is one of the best, no, let me correct that. This is literally the best train journey of my life. 2 other train trips that I would also recommend are obviously the Vistadom train, and these days the Vande Bharat Express is also very popular. I am yet to take that one, but it looks so good. And obviously you also have the super luxury trains like the Maharaja Express or the Golden Chariot, which I had the privilege of seeing from the inside. That one is still on my bucket list. But yeah, train journeys in India, ooh, that is a bucket list item. Another note, if you are buying train tickets, is that I would only buy them on the website of IRCTC, which is the official website of the Indian Railways. I think these days they do accept international credit cards, but if you don't see a payment method on the website that works for you, just send them an email and I'm sure they'll be able to accommodate you, because don't take that risk coming to India. A lot of people will say, oh, their tourist quota, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I've been through those tourist quota processes and it takes just so much time going to the office, seeing if there's a tourist quota ticket. Then sometimes it's not there. I've had periods when the tourist quota tickets were not there.
Okay, I'm out of luck this time because all the tourist quota tickets, sorry for the wind, all the tourist quota tickets for this weekend to Jodhpur are gone, and for Monday. So I will have to buy a Tatkal ticket. A Tatkal ticket is kind of like a last minute ticket, but you can only buy it the day prior and it's like an extra fee, but that's fine. So I will try.
And then you don't have a train ticket last moment. So just send IRCTC an email and try to secure your train tickets as far as possible in advance. Buses in general are also safe to travel with, even overnight buses, and especially if it's shorter distances during the day, you can definitely take a bus. If you'd like to take the overnight buses, please always check the reviews on the apps Make My Trip and Redbus. As a foreigner without a local payment methods, you won't be able to book the tickets here because they don't accept foreign credit cards, but at least you'll know how a bus company is rated. You can contact a travel agent to book the tickets for you, which is also a good recommendation because they can also advise you if a bus is safe or not. By the way, in order to download Indian apps, you'll have to switch your app store from your home country to India first. It's definitely worth it though, because there are so many super useful Indian apps that can make your life a lot easier here in India. I might make a separate video about that soon. But first, let's talk about how to get transportation within the cities or within the places that you are going. For transportation on a local level, you can obviously take a private car, you can take a shared taxi, or in the big cities, Uber is everywhere. You can just use your international Uber app and book those auto valas, actually the rickshaws, through Uber as well. That way you will save a lot of time and also a lot of stress not haggling with the auto valas. You can just book it on the app. If you are outside of the cities, then ask your accommodation if they can book a private car for you, because I think that is the safest way to secure safe transportation, or how to take a shared taxi. When I was in Srinagar, my guest house owner, he really helped me to take a bus, actually a local bus, which was not the smartest idea. I should have taken the shared taxi there, but yeah, always ask your accommodation to help you out if you are outside of the big cities, because they want to make sure that you are safe.
I'm just dying. Look at the seating situation. God, I love India. This Jugaad is hilarious.
And they also know the best options because obviously they are the locals. Speaking of accommodation, I can't stress enough what I'm about to say. So please, 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 this is important. Even if you're traveling India on a budget, never, but absolutely never compromise your safety because of finances. India has absolutely amazing guest houses and homestays with the sweetest families. As a solo traveler, sometimes I even prefer these because the families really take care of you as their own. The best way to find out if an accommodation is safe is to check their reviews on booking.com, WeGo, and TripAdvisor. Yup, all three, because sometimes the reviews differ per platform. Also, India has more and more really good middle class hotels that are extremely comfortable and worth paying more for. Please check Fab Hotels, which is my favorite. I would not recommend to try out Airbnb in India because it is not regulated well, so I don't have any experiences with that. But also, I haven't heard good stories from people who have tried it out. Hostels is a new concept, but if you're looking at the prices between hostels versus the homestays, I would say the homestays are way more value for money unless you are looking for people to meet, in which case the hostels facilitate that more easy than staying in your own room. Obviously, I also need to address women's safety, but first I want to talk about a hidden gem which most foreigners miss when they're visiting or traveling in India. Finally, I would recommend any foreigner tourist, and especially if you're coming to India for the first time, to try out a luxury accommodation. Maybe at the end of your trip, like go rugged and adventurous before and then end on a very luxurious note, because the luxury accommodations in India are just on another level. Indian hospitality is unrivaled, in my opinion, in the world. And the luxury accommodations are crazy value for money. People always praise the luxury accommodations in Thailand, Bali, and Malaysia as being like crazy value for money, but I'm like, you need to discover India, because India got some really good luxury accommodations which are just the best investment for your mental peace, and especially at the end of a trip. You need the pampering. When it comes down to money, I have a couple of tips and tricks that I always give to my friends and family. First one, obviously, which is again not that obvious I guess, is to turn on international transactions on your debit card. My family and friends are from the Netherlands. The transactions will still be set to Europe as a limit only. So then when you reach here, you'll be like, oh, why can't I withdraw money? And it's like, yeah, just switch on those international transactions and you should be good. The ATMs have the absolute best exchange rates. Obviously, they will charge you a small fee, but it is nothing compared to the exchange offices. And actually, State Bank of India, SBI, doesn't even have a foreign transaction rate. ATMs are the way to go in order to get cash. Do keep in mind that usually the limit with the ATMs is 10,000 per transaction, but you can do multiple transactions one after the other. I always used to withdraw 10,000 rupees because it was enough for my weekly expenses. So I would withdraw money once a week, and then if I would run out, then I would obviously go to an ATM on another day. But usually 10,000 rupees for a week was pretty okay and decent for me. With the demonetization in mind, which happened back in 2016, where 500 rupee notes and 1,000 rupee notes became invalid overnight. Yesterday it was announced, like super last minute, that the 5,000 and the 1,000 rupee notes are not valid anymore. You cannot pay with them. And what does Ivana have left? Only 500 rupee notes, maybe 100 rupee notes. I never ever travel without $100 cash stashed somewhere in my luggage.
Guess who just got foreign currency exchange? So I exchanged $10 for like 600 rupees.
Because when the demonetization happened, I had dollars and I just went to an exchange and gave them dollars. I know a girl who was in Bali on Gili Air and all the ATMs stopped working and she had no cash. So always $100 cash in your luggage. A note about international credit cards, they are not always accepted everywhere. Obviously in luxury hotels and in nice restaurants they are accepted. In most supermarkets, like big supermarkets, they are as well. But international credit cards, the way you know them, all across the world. That is not that common here in India. What is really common here in India is paying by UPI, which is paying by your phone. And recently there was an introduction of a separate UPI system for foreigners, which I think is amazing. And Carl Rock made a video about that actually, so I will link his video down in the description below. Especially if you are traveling solo, taking care of your finances is non-negotiable. You have to have backups on backups on backups. And that's why I also made a separate video on solo travel where you get even more precautions than I talk about in this video. When you are taking cash out of the ATM, do keep in mind that you will usually get 200 rupee notes or 500 rupee notes. 500 rupee notes are very, very common. However, the local shops usually don't have change for that. So what I would always do is I would either go to a supermarket or to a place, chaiwalas usually are also pretty good, where they have tons of cash, and then I would exchange those rupee notes, because sometimes you go to a shop and they will give you a candy or something like that, or they just refuse your transaction because they don't have the change for a 500 rupee note. So whenever you do get that cash, keep in mind you have to exchange it as soon as possible for at least like 100 rupee notes. That is the easiest payment method, I would say. Another question that I always get from my friends and family is, what do you wear in India? For the men, I would like to note that it is really best to cover yourself up in loose trousers and definitely a t-shirt or maybe even a long sleeve, because you are risking a heavy sunburn if you don't do that. So many people have come to India thinking, oh, it's so nice and warm, and then even I recently went to Kerala and I got sunburned so bad. So actually the cover up is really to protect you from sunburn. But at the same time, I also have to mention, keep in mind that India is a conservative country. For the ladies, you have to cover up your legs. Even in the big cities, unless you are with Indian female friends who can instruct you where you can wear bare legs and where not, usually you won't know the places where it is okay to wear bare legs and where it is not okay to wear bare legs. Therefore, I always advise to my friends, my female friends, to err on the super conservative side, because you are already a foreigner. You are the pink elephant in the room. There are just not that many foreigners in India, and then it is just best to dress like the locals in order to attract as little attention as possible, and definitely also ward off some unwanted attention. I also think Indian ethnic wear looks really, really cute, especially in pictures. A legging with a kurta looks so beautiful. You can just order them on Amazon and get them delivered at your accommodation, or you can go to the local market, but I just find Amazon some easier shopping. Also, I personally love maxi dresses. I think it also looks a lot more cute than just the regular backpacking clothes. So yeah, keep that in mind. India, one, is a conservative country. Ladies, you will have to cover up definitely your legs, but also preferably your shoulders. For all tourists, I would say covering up will help you with the sunburn, because it is no joke. I got sunburned so bad. If you want to go shopping here on Amazon, mostly all sizes are available. Obviously, in a population of 1.3 billion people, there are all sizes of body shapes. So don't worry about the sizing in India. We got everything here. One thing that I also always emphasize to my friends and family, and I'm quite strict about that, at the end of the day, you have to keep in mind that you are a guest here. Indians are one of the rare people where I have found that their dignity is more important than money. So if you behave rudely with people, if you are disrespectful, if you are dressing inappropriately, it will be much harder for you to make a connection with the local people and get to know the local culture, get immersed in the culture of the Indian state or the Indian place where you are in, because there's not one Indian culture. That is one thing that you have to keep in mind. You are a guest. You are coming here for the India culture experience, not to preach your home politics. What is normal in your home country may not be normal here, but that's actually why you should visit India, to discover a whole new world and new things and different ways how things can be done. Keep that in mind. Don't go fighting Indian culture or preaching how you think things should be, because India is a very old country. It is an ancient culture. They do things their way, and the only reason why you should visit India is to experience that, not to change it. If India should change, Indians will take care of that. You don't do that as a tourist, because at the end of the day, you are a guest. If I would come into your home and suddenly start rearranging everything because I feel that that is better for you, how offensive is that? And that is the same thing as you coming here and telling, India and Indians that things should be done differently because that is how it is done at home. That is not how it works. You come to India and hopefully you get to learn a few new things. If you have any insecurities or doubts on women's safety, I've made a dedicated video on that, and I have hundreds of vlogs where I documented myself traveling as a solo female in India. Yes, it is safe, but please don't take unnecessary risks. The dedicated video and the vlog playlists are also linked down below if you would like to hear and see more about this topic. Obviously, I also need to address hygiene, so let's get into that next. Certain things always come as a massive shock to foreigners. In general, Indian toilets don't have toilet paper. There is just a hygienic shower to take care of yourself. So if you want toilet paper, mostly you will have to carry it yourself. Obviously, in the big cities, in the malls, in the luxury hotels, they will all have regular toilet paper. But if you're going to other places, don't count on it. Just carry it yourself. And especially if you are going to the Jaisalmer desert or maybe Pangong Lake in Ladakh, you will have to carry some eco-friendly wipes which are disposable in nature, or just make do with the natural resources. I also always carry disinfectant because eating with your hands is quite normal in India, and it's better to be safe than sorry. In general, it is also better to keep your nails short for this reason. Of course, I've tried to make this India travel guide as comprehensive as possible, but there are some other topics that really require specific attention, like for instance the city travel guides, or how to start your trip in India and which mistakes not to make, what things really not to do, like for instance wearing shoes in Indian homes, or talking about politics, solo travel, and of course a lot of Indian food. I've linked all those videos down in the description below so you can continue watching.